me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Just as you think it can't get any crazier, it gets crazier, doesn't it? And for all sorts of reasons. But anyway, we're going to leave the craziness of sort of politics and things like that aside. And we're going to talk in this video about an emerging sort of crime story, if you like, that's coming out of America. Very disturbing, very sad. A 15-year-old girl has been found deceased in the boot of a car of a famous singer. Now, say a famous singer, I've never heard of him, but he's a young person's sort of famous singer. While he was on tour. And he continued on tour initially, even after this young girl, which it seems like had probably been his girlfriend, was found deceased in the boot of his car. It's a very strange story, a very disturbing story. And, it's coming to light now, it's gaining traction. People are starting to talk about it in the true crime world and on the mainstream media as well. And it's this girl, this is who we're going to talk about. Celeste. Where have I got a photo? Somewhere in a bigger version. Yeah, we're going to talk about Celeste, 15 years old, a troubled teen. And the police can be a bit dismissive, can't they, of troubled teens, I think. They just sort of don't take their deaths seriously because they think, well, they can't think that she's done something to herself because, she was found dead in the boot of a car. She's not going to put herself in the boot of a car afterwards, is she? So this is Celeste. That's who we're going to talk about today. So I just want to say my thank yous. First of all, thank you to everybody for liking, subscribing. That's what I was going to put on before, the like and subscribe button, but I don't know where it is. So it's disappeared. So, oh, there it is. So please like and subscribe, especially if you enjoyed this video. It's completely free to like, to press like, to subscribe to my channel. And always remember to press notifications so you get any notifications of any updates on any of the cases that we're covering. Okay, I want to say a special thank you, as always, to my members. Tonight's is Thursday, so every Thursday we have an exclusive members live. Today we're going to be talking about Trumpy, good old Donald Trump's state visit to Trump Town, to Windsor Castle. We're going to have a light-hearted look at it. We're going to talk about the positives, the negatives for this state visit, and we're going to talk about what you think. Do you think state visits are important no matter whether we support whoever it is or not? They're just an important part of real politique, aren't they? You have to respect other world leaders, whether they're on your side of the political spectrum or not. It doesn't matter. Donald Trump is the president of the United States, for good or bad. Some people love him, some people loathe him. He's like Marmite, isn't he? And we're going to have a look at some of the outfits, some of the lighter things about the state visit. At some point today, there'll be political speeches made by him and Keir Starmer. I think Keir Starmer just wouldn't have slept last night worrying about this, because you never know what Donald Trump's going to say. One thing I think you can say positive about Donald Trump is he's not boring, is he? He's not boring. To paraphrase a quote from Silence of the Lambs, the world is a more interesting place with him in it. But interesting doesn't necessarily mean good. Some people think it does. As far as Trump is concerned, other people think it doesn't. We're going to talk about that in tonight's members. So why not join and come and join us? So you can join either on the Vicky Marie Chats channel or on the Spanish and English with Vicky channel, which is, I think, a £1 cheaper per month. But either of those, you'd be able to join in the members live and leave your comments. Right, what else do I want to say? Oh yeah, thank you to everyone who's bought me a Ko-fi, who's bought merchandise, which is on the Ko-fi page. Thank you to everyone who sent me a super sticker, PayPal'd me, sent me a nice email, left me a nice comment. I get some lovely comments. I do get some nasty ones, but very rarely. And you know what? The lovely comments outweigh the nasty comments so much. The nasty ones aren't even worth. They're normally by these. Anyway, never mind. Don't get into a political thing. As we've seen with the cancellation of Jimmy Kimmel or somebody Kimmel. Over in America, free speech only exists apparently as long as you're right wing. If you try and say something opposite to what the right wing think, you're nasty, or you're this or you're that. You're not just exercising your right to free speech. Only right wingers can do that apparently. We'll be talking about that tonight as well. And I see that in my comments all the time. I'm happy for anyone to leave a comment they don't agree with me, but when they start attacking me personally, bringing it to a personal level, just give your views. You don't have to be nasty. But anyway, there you go. I'll be hung, drawn, and quartered for that. But yeah, it's bad in America. If somebody, or anywhere, nobody should be killed for their political views or religious views or whatever Charlie Kirk's views you would class them as. Nobody should be cancelled because they believe, what they believe. It's just crazy, isn't it? The whole thing. So what else do I want to say before? Oh, hi to my lovely lurkers. Thank you so much. I've had some lovely comments off lurkers lately and emails, people who don't like to join in the chat, but they enjoy the channel and they enjoy watching. Thank you so much. It's your positive emails, etc., that keep me going in this channel. Hello to loathsome lurkers as well. Don't know why you're watching, but you do keep watching, don't you? And then hi to replay crew. Thank you so much. If you haven't managed to watch this on live, but you're watching it on replay, thank you. And now, as always, I'm going to come into the old chat, see who's there. The people that are brave enough to come into the chat, just come in and say hello to you. Before I start on this very sad story of Celeste. And I hope I'm sure it will all, come out into the light. But do you know what? It's very, very annoying. It'll annoy you that there hasn't been more made of it already. Why has it taken this long? Because this guy has been on tour, Anyway, let's say hello to whoever's in chat. Hey, David. Hey, Dottie. Hey, Bluebell. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about all those Trumpy things tonight in members, David. Yeah, free speech. America, free speech. Come on. Only free speech if you agree with Trump and the right wing, isn't it? All right. No. Hi, Dottie. I'd never heard of him as well. I'm glad I'd never heard of him, actually. But anyway, he's not a very nice person, it seems. Hi, Annie. Hi, Annie. So again, let's just have a look at the girl, well, she's up in the corner here, but, we'll have a little closer look at her because she is the girl in the center of all this. This is the victim, on this channel. The victims matter. The victims matter more than anything. And this girl, the police might describe her as a troubled teen. You know what the police are like. I mean, I've got a lot of respect for the police, as you know, but sometimes I do think they make instant judgments. When this girl went missing, because she was 15 and she was a troubled teen, sometimes they don't take missing persons cases seriously enough, do they? They make a judgment, don't they? And I know their judgments are made on experience because, quite often troubled teens do run away and just come back a couple of days later or whatever. So, it's not an arbitrary judgment that they have. It's a judgment based on their experience of what normally happens. But unfortunately, as in Celeste's case. That wasn't the case. Just let me take my banner off, because sometimes I forget. As in Celeste's case, unfortunately, it wasn't the case that she'd just run away and she was going to come home in a couple of days. Now, I'm going to show you a photo of the singer, first of all. So this singer, who's got this sort of weird name, D4VD, you know, they're always got weird names, haven't they? I'm going to show you a picture of him, and I can guess who you're going to think he reminds you of straight away. Well, certainly, as soon as I saw this picture of him, I thought, oh my God, you know, he doesn't, you know, and we can't go by what people look like as to whether they're a nice person or not. But as Dottie Graham mentioned, you know, the lyrics in his songs and things like that, he's not a nice person. So, you know, or his persona. Sometimes it's just the persona of a rapper. I don't know if he's a rapper or whatever. Never listened to one of his songs. I have no clue. But as soon as I saw this picture, you know exactly who that would remind you of. From cases that we've done recently. I'm not going to mention his name or say anything, but I just thought, oh my God, what is this, like the look of a lunatic or something? But of course, he's not been proven to have done anything yet. Now, she was found in his car. She was apparently his girlfriend, but we can't make assumptions, can we? Because it might be nothing to do with him that she's been found dead in his car and he just carried on his tour. Might be nothing to do with him whatsoever. So we're going to have to keep that in mind, aren't we, as we talk about it? Yeah. Hi, Fiona. So, very, you know, very chilling all of it. So let's have a look at what's been happening. Now, I first saw it on X, on Twitter. I still call it Twitter. One of my favourite people that I follow on Twitter, Steve Fisher Investigates. I would definitely recommend following him because he doesn't come out with crap for a start. You know, a lot of people on X, they just talk rubbish, don't they? And it's a lot of propaganda and this, that, and the other. You have to really sift through X like you do through any social media and try and make a difference between what's real and what's not real. And I first heard about it from 17 hours ago when he made this post. I've been following this story and it's disturbing, to say the least. On September the 8th, law enforcement was called to a tow yard in Hollywood, California, after a strong odor was reported coming from the trunk of a Tesla that had been towed from a wealthy neighborhood in the Hollywood Hills. Inside the vehicle's front trunk, not the back, officers discovered the body of a deceased female. The Tesla is registered to singer. Now, I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it D4VD or is it supposed to be David? Another way of saying David. I have no idea how it's supposed to be said. Who is currently on tour. Neighbours said the car had been left in the neighbourhood for quite some time. So we have to remember, although the car's registered to him, it doesn't mean necessarily that he did anything to this girl. Authorities described the body as decomposed and dismembered. Why dismember a body? Leave it in the trunk of a car and then go off on tour. I mean, it doesn't make sense, does it, either, unless they just thought it would never be discovered. Or did they think it'd get towed and crushed? Just seems strange thing to do, isn't it? It's what maybe didn't have any more time to dispose of the body, or not even him, but whoever did it. Just didn't have the time and thought they would come back to it, didn't realise it would be towed. It seems a strange thing to leave a dismembered body in the back of a car, but it wouldn't be the first time, actually, would it, that it ever happened? So this victim has been identified as a 15-year-old girl who'd been reported missing. Oh my God, in 2024. Oh, I didn't realise that. Now I hadn't read that properly. I must have just scan read it. I didn't realise she'd been missing that long. David is reported, I'm saying David, I don't know if it's pronounced like that, D4VD, is reportedly cooperating with police but has remained on tour. Now, this was 17 hours ago. I think he's cancelled his gigs now. And he's not yet been interrogated. LAPD stated he has scheduled a meeting for Saturday when he will be in town for his performance. Geez, we all hope this doesn't interfere with his schedule. And this morning, the victim's mother made a statement saying her daughter had mentioned that her boyfriend's name was David. It's going to be infuriating if this apparent homicide is not being aggressively investigated, and if the artist is allowed to continue his tour simply because the victim may have been a troubled teen. So that's the first I saw it on Steve's X. And then, you know, this is a photo of her and David on social media, so they definitely knew each other, that's for sure. So it's being alleged that this is a photo of D4VD and the deceased victim, Celeste, who was an underage runaway, according to the police. That's what they thought. And here are some screenshots of posts from people that appear to know Celeste's family. These were screenshot before her identity was revealed today. This guy is a weirdo. A close friend's little sister from the IE ran away last year, and this is who she was with. We think her sister was pimping her out. She was in the 7th grade at the time. LAPD sweeped his place in the hills. I'm terrified that's who is in the car. Nobody has heard from her in months. I won't release names as she's still a minor. But she was from Lake Elsinore. And don't forget, I'm just reading these. I'm not saying that it's a PDF or whatever. I'm just telling you, I'm reading you what other people have said. This guy is a PDF from what I've heard. My sister told me she was dating an 8th grader and she would go on trips with him to LA. They're all in 9th grade now. And it turns out C, which I presume is Celeste, friends knew and he would pay them to keep their mouth shut. Celeste has been missing for over a month now and no one knows her whereabouts. Definitely something strange going on. Well, now we know where Celeste is. Now we know where she is, unfortunately. You know, she is deceased. She is deceased. Let's have a look at... Oh, so these are like more photos of the guy. So that was the photo that I showed you, the one... you know, that he looks like who you know. He looks a bit like him on this one as well because he's got blood all over this shirt. I will have a look at some of the lyrics of his songs. You know, it does look a bit suspicious. You know, it's always going to be a bit suspicious when a body's found in your car, a dismembered body. You know, you're going to... surely, hey Fiona. Oh, sorry, Finola. Yeah, just don't mention his name. If you can mention it if you want, but I have put him in the hellhole. I don't like to mention his name because these perpetrators, they end up getting more remembered than the bloody victims, don't they? So it's just once they get sentenced. And, you know, and sometimes I do still talk about him because things come up about like when he attacked the prison officer in prison, but I try not to mention his name. So don't worry. I mean, if you mention his name, that's a whole other thing, but I don't want to mention his name. I try and avoid it. And sometimes I'm reading out articles about him and they mention his name or I try not to show pictures of him as well. But do you know what? I think if I wanted to show a picture of him, I could show a picture of this guy and say, if people knew immediately who he looked like, didn't they? You know, just... Oh, so Dottie's been on looking at his videos. Now, of course, I can't show his music videos because, you know, YouTube get all over all that sort of thing. I might be able to show it with the music down. I'll have a look. See if I can find some that I can maybe show with the, the music turned down. But, the thing is, but people obviously like him if he was on tour. I don't understand why people like, singers who sing about violent things and stuff like that, We used to, years ago, just used to sing about unrequited love and all that crap. Do you know what I mean? Now, there's even songs are violent now, music and what have you. I suppose that started with the Sex Pistols and all that. I don't know, and they were part of my era, really. But yeah, let's have a look then at a couple of his videos. But I'll have to turn the sound down because oh, well, let's have a look at some news first. So let's have a look at this one.
We have an update right.
Poor girl. Do you know, like, because this is what happens sometimes, as I say, with teenagers. The police don't, I don't mean like 13-year-olds maybe, but, she's 15. And we all know, we remember when we were 15, we know perhaps if we've had teenage children, they do get to an age where they get rebellious and they disappear maybe for, not normally for months though, having said that. But they might disappear for a couple of nights, go to the friend's house, turn up at, get annoyed with the parents, all that sort of thing. But yeah, look at, let's have a look at this.
We have an update right now on a disturbing story out of California, where Los Angeles police have identified badly decomposed human remains found inside of an impounded Tesla last week. Investigators say the car is registered to singer and songwriter David, who rose to fame with hits on TikTok. He was on tour when that body was found. A spokesperson says that he is fully cooperating with authorities.
Yeah, I wonder if that car was left there in the hopes that it might get impounded and crushed. There's probably quite a few bodies have been crushed in cars. But of course, what's alerted them to her remains is the smell, bless her. And thank God that it did get noticed, because it could have gone into the crusher, could it? And, I don't know, do they not check through cars before they put them through the crusher? It's different. Like if you'd committed a murder and you knew someone who crushed cars and they were, I think maybe like the mafia and people like that, maybe they've used, gangsters have maybe used that way of disposing of bodies before. But to just leave it there in the hopes that it might get crushed is a little bit random, isn't it? And a little bit, what's the word? It's not very clever, really. But, murderers often aren't very clever, are they?
NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz joins us now from Los Angeles with more details. Liz, where do things stand right now?
Yeah, Morgan, so a really sad update here. It's been over a week that investigators have now been trying to identify the body that was found inside this impounded Tesla here in Los Angeles. And authorities have now identified that person, and they say that it's a teenager who was inside that car. And they've identified this person as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas of Riverside County. And authorities have actually confirmed that this is a young woman whose family reported her missing last year. So she's been missing for over a year. She was 14 when she went missing. The medical examiner's office says that this young woman was wearing a tube top, black leggings, a yellow metal chain bracelet, and stud earrings. She was described as having wavy black hair and weighing around 71 pounds. A cause of death right now is still pending, but this was an incident that began last Monday on September 8th is when police were called to a tow company here in Los Angeles because of a foul odor that was coming from a Tesla.
Now, the other thing I don't sort of understand, so if it was registered to this guy, when it was in the impound, why was he not contacted? Or do you think they tried to contact him and he just didn't come forward? Because it's a Tesla, it's quite a good car by the look of it. I'm surprised, not that it was impounded, because it would have got impounded if it was left there so long, but don't the police go and try and contact people, or do they, it's just odd, isn't it? But anyway, and is that the deliberate reason why it was left there, so it would be impounded and crushed? Or was he just presuming he could come back to it? He had his tour. I mean, I don't know that it was him, but just say it was him. He had his tour to go to. Or is it nothing to do with him? Is it somebody else who had the keys to his car, and has disposed of that poor girl? And don't forget, she's dismembered as well. So it wasn't, it's something that's had planning. It's not like maybe, I don't know, there was an accident. I mean, there may have been an accident. She may have died by accident. But afterwards, this desecration of a corpse by dismembering her, that will be added charges, of course, won't it? If she had an accident and died, maybe, I don't know if she was, taking any drugs or anything like that. Well, you're not supposed to then dismember the body and put it in a boot. You're supposed to phone the police and get the body taken away and stuff like that. So, you can't, did something happen and he didn't want the bad press? You just don't know, do you? There's so much more to come out on this story, but the sad fact remains that 15-year-old girl, and it seems like she was his girlfriend because they had identical tattoos, I think, on their fingers. That's something that's come out.
The car was impounded after a person had reported that it was an abandoned car. They say that, according to law enforcement sources, that her body was not intact. And that it appeared that she may have been dead inside that car for an extended period of time. We are out to law enforcement trying to get more details on this.
So what do they mean her body was not intact? So does that mean that maybe not all her body is in there? Oh dear, it's so sad. A young girl, 15, a troubled teen, they call her. Sounds to me like she's been groomed by this man, at the least, and maybe even murdered as well.
On what they know as this investigation continues. And Morgan, a spokesperson for the artist David, said that he is fully cooperating, as you said, with authorities. He does have a scheduled performance on his tour here in Los Angeles this coming Saturday. Morgan.
Oh,
all right, Liz Croyd's on the ground with that breaking news for us. Liz, thank you.
We thank you for watching.
He cannot, he cannot do that tour, that performance, can he? He can't. Surely he can't. Do they mean last Saturday or this Saturday? Let's have a look at another one. And then we're going to have a look at a music video of his. How can he do his... No, he should be in custody. Because she's in his car at the end of the day, and then custody, interrogation, and find out if, if he's involved or not. He has to be interrogated to exclude him from the inquiry at the very least. Why is that not? Oh, what's going on? Am I... There you go.
The stage name David, Los Angeles investigators identifying the remains as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas, the same girl who was reported missing last year, according to the Riverside County Sheriff's Office. Police first found the teen's decomposed body on September 8th after being called to a Hollywood tow yard because of a foul odor coming from the Tesla, which was impounded after a person reported the car abandoned. Law enforcement sources say the remains were not intact, and according to the medical examiner, it appeared the girl, who is described as having wavy black hair and weighing about 71 pounds, had been dead inside the Tesla for an extended period of time.
Now, I'm just going to give you a little bit of waffle here before we carry on. So many years ago, I worked at a car hire company, a UK car hire company, but I was like their marketing manager over here in Spain, because I used to rent cars out when people go back from Spain to visit family and that to the UK, they quite often rent cars because they don't have a car in the UK anymore. And so this company, which is now actually, unfortunately, went into administration during the credit crunch. Anyway, I was employed by them for a little while. And one of the people there told me the story of they had a customer who hired a car, and every time it came to say they hired it for a month at a time, every time it came near the end of the rental contract, it would be extended for another month, another month, another month. Anyway, that turned out to have a body inside it. And they were renting that car just to hide this body. And then another bit of waffle, just not far from where I live now, when one of the jobs that my son was going to, every day when I would take him to work, we would drive past this car that was parked up. Quite nice car, like a little sports car. And after sort of, a couple of weeks of that, I said, God, that car's still there. That car's still there. Being nosy like, and parked in not outside a house or whatever, but in a real sort of random place. And once I got out the car and actually tried to open the door, anyway, it was locked. It was all locked up. But yeah, really nice car, modern car. You wouldn't leave it just like that. Anyway, it's still there. And this sort of story makes you wonder. I mean, I couldn't smell anything around it that day when I went in. I had a look inside. There was a bottle of water in there. And, it looked like someone had literally just left the car that day, a couple of hours earlier. Anyway, the police have noticed it now. It's got police tape on it. So eventually it will, like that car, be towed away. But has it got a dead body inside it? Well, as I say, I couldn't smell anything when I got out to have a look round, have a nosy around it. But it was still that. I think the last time I drove past it was maybe 5 days ago. Drove up that way, drove past it, and it was still there. So I suppose, maybe they did just leave it there, hope it would get towed away, hope it would get crushed. I don't know.
The singer David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke, rose to fame on TikTok and is currently on tour. A spokesperson for the artist did not respond to NBC News' request for comment today, but last week said the 20-year-old was fully cooperating with the authorities. The LAPD is not calling the death criminal, saying in a statement that at this time, the agency does not have a crime classification from the coroner as to the mode or manner of death. Thus, we do not have any suspect information at this time.
Now, I mean, the thing is, I understand that. They've got to wait for the cause of death, but it obviously is a crime, because one thing you can be sure is Celeste has not killed herself, cut herself up and put herself in the boot in the front of the car. So there's some crime involved there one way or another.
And right now, police have not said if they believe the singer David knew or ever had contact with the victim. We are just learning that his show scheduled for tonight in Seattle has now been canceled.
Tonight, the country's central bank making a long-awaited pivot.
With downside risks to employment having increased, the balance of risks has shifted.
Fed Chair Jerome Powell announcing a quarter-point rate cut, the first in 9 months, and putting the focus squarely on the softening U.S. labor market. Powell seemingly less concerned than before about the risk of a return to runaway inflation, even though price increases have accelerated over the past 4 months. Powell acknowledging challenges for the overall economy.
There are no risk-free
what's this?
paths
No, I
now.
don't want to watch this. This is politics. So, hi, Daniel. Now, her name is Celeste Rivera Hernandez. Thing is, Dottie, Latin America, Spanish people, Hispanic people, they have two surnames. And her surname, one is Rivas and one is Hernandez. Sometimes they use both of them here in Spain. They always use both of them. It's two surnames. They take one surname from the mother and one surname from the father. And that's how, so she will have two surnames. But Rivas is the one that they're using more generally, isn't it? Hernandez. So you have, it's like it's hard to explain. So you have like your first name, which will be Celeste. And then I think the first surname is the mother's surname, and the second surname is the father's, or it could be the other way around, I'm not sure. But anyway, you take one from the mother and one from the father in Spain. So you don't give up. When you get married, you don't give up your surname. You keep, when a woman gets married in Spain, they keep their normal name. It never gets changed. But then when they have children, their children take the mother's surnames, one of the mother's surnames, and one of the father's surnames. So nothing straightforward in Hispanic culture. It's all very complicated. But yeah. Now let's have a look at a video of his. Let's have a look at the video. What was it? Yeah, so it is pronounced David. I know it's because of mold, but I don't like these. Why don't you just call himself David? I suppose it's not funky enough, or I can't even remember his name now. I keep thinking DVD David. Oh God, I won't be able to find him now. Easier to search her name and then these things will come up. For goodness sake. Okay, let's have a look at some of his videos. All right, this one's called Is This Really Love? And I'm going to have to watch it with the sound down because I don't want YouTube picking me up on this. They cancel your whole bloody video then. Over him in the back of the car. What's that all about? It's got a blindfold on, he's covered in blood. Why can't I put it on? Won't go to full screen, I don't know why. Plays. Let's see if I can find any more news articles about him. Just seems so sad that this girl's been missing for so long, doesn't it? So very sad that she'd been missing for so long. Let's have a look what Fox have got to say about it.
Bizarre story in Southern California. The body found in singer David's Tesla has been identified as a missing teen girl. Her remains were discovered in the trunk of that Tesla in a tow lot in Hollywood. We want to go out right now to Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez with the very latest in this investigation. Christina, what can you tell us tonight?
Well, we're in Lake Elsinore. That teenager, her name Celeste Rivas, she was 13 years old when she was last seen leaving this home back in April of 2024. Now, her family had no idea that her case could be connected to the Tesla until they get a call from TMZ last week. Now, keep in mind, right now, David, the artist, he is not considered a suspect. He's not considered a person of interest. We're told he is cooperating, but he canceled his tour date in Seattle, the next one. And people here are saying, what's going on? So let's show you.
No.
Few words from those arriving at the Lake Elsinore home where 15-year-old Celeste Rivas disappeared in April of 2024. Her family has just found out that it is her partially dismembered body that was found in the trunk of a Tesla, registered to popular singer-songwriter David Anthony Burke.
You just think, who What do they mean by partially dismembered? So it seems to me there's not all of her in there. Do you think? How can you be partially dismembered?
Known by the stage name David. TMZ broke the girl's identification after speaking to her mother.
It was a very heart-wrenching conversation. She was very upset and said that all she knew is that, her daughter had been missing all of this time. She told us that she was aware that there was a boyfriend named David.
And that her daughter had a tattoo with the letters "sh" on her right index finger.
That the color of the ink of that tattoo was red, which was something that police had not released to the public.
The singer, who has been cooperating with police, had continued his tour after the body was discovered, but he just canceled his next date in Seattle.
But it just seemed odd to us that, gosh, your car, such a grisly discovery in your car, and that you're just out on tour. You would think that, you'd want to find out what happened here.
Well, exactly. Even if he, first of all, he'd want to know where his car was. Had he reported his car missing? Did he just, come out one day, my car's gone. Oh, well, or had he reported his car actually missing? The other thing, like he says, the police phone you up and say, we've just found your car and it's got a dismembered teenage girl inside it. You won't carry on your tour, would you? For God's sake, you just wouldn't. How could you? It'd be like if, I was had a live stream coming up and somebody got on the phone and said, we've just found your car, it's got a body inside it. I said, sorry, I've got to do this YouTube live stream, or I've got these classes I've got to do. I'll think about it later. Just ridiculous. Now, we have to remember, and I'll keep saying it, we don't know that he's done anything to this girl. Just because she was found in his car does not mean to say that it was him who did it. But it seems like there are more ties as well, and obviously more things are going to come out as time goes on. But his best bet, if he is innocent, he needs to cooperate with the police, because he needs to be excluded as a suspect so they can find the real person who did it. Because this girl, she did not chop herself up. Even if she died of accidentally or drug overdose or at her own hands, she did not chop herself up.
Because this is just a very bizarre case.
Especially because one of his videos actually features a body being put in the trunk of a car.
It's just eerie considering what ended up happening in David's car.
I just hope that the truth comes forward.
Celeste's neighbors on the street she grew up at.
Justicia.
Justice is what family and friends are asking for.
Whatever happened could happen to someone else, and it's just scary.
Now, we have reached out to David's people, no response from them. Again, I want to emphasize, last we heard, he was cooperating. LAPD is not naming him a suspect at this point or a person of interest. We're waiting to hear more from them. But I can tell you the Seattle concert date was canceled. Next is San Francisco on Friday. We're waiting to hear back from that venue. And he's supposed to be here at the Greek this weekend. We reached out to them. We haven't heard back from them yet. So we'll have to see what happens. Very much a developing story out here in the Lake Elsinore area, which, if you're wondering, is about 70 miles from the Los Angeles area. I'm Christina Gonzalez, live. Back to you guys in the studio.
So it's all going on it all happened in the area of Los Angeles, which of course a lot of Hispanic people around Los Angeles. Not that I think he's Hispanic, but she obviously is. Also, I do feel, unfortunately, in a place like Los Angeles is so much crime in Los Angeles, isn't there? So the police are probably, probably not enough of them, and they're probably under-resourced, and they'll be one of those states that under Trump's governance anyway won't like Los Angeles because just of the type of state it is. Unfortunately, this is what's happening in America at the moment, isn't it? But anyway, I don't know, what the LAPD are like. I mean, are they did they not take it seriously because it was a young girl? You know, and young girls do sort of run away and get, you know, just go off and do, it does happen. And then, of course, there'll be other things happening, and then they get sort of, what I think I've seen mostly, not only with America or even with only with LA, but most places, isn't it? When there's a missing person first goes missing, there's a great big flurry and a bit, you know, a lot of searching. And then as time goes on, other things happen. And other things take precedence, you know, and because there's always, tomorrow there'll be another case, and the day after that there'll be another case. You know, it's relentless, isn't it? It never stops. So this poor girl, she's a child, really. If she was 13 when she went missing, 13, telling her family that she's got a boyfriend called David. And then suddenly she disappears, and she's found in a singer's car. Oh, what's the singer called? David. You know, so anyway, it's a developing story, as the lady said there. We don't know the ins and outs of it yet. Just seems incredible to me that he could continue doing his tour. So what's it, you know, so he's cancelled one coming up, hasn't he, she said, and then the next one is in Seattle. He can't go and do those shows. Of course he can't. What, while he's got the spectre of a dismembered girl hanging over him that's been found in his car? How can he possibly? You know, the first thing you should do is be straight down the police station, volunteer to be interrogated about this girl. You know, and when he's, I don't know, next thing you know, his lawyer will be on, like with David Knobovich, and who were the other, like the Harrows, like the two parents who've killed their baby. Next thing you know, his lawyer will be on, saying, no, it's got nothing to do with it. You know, he denies having anything to do with it, because that's what lawyers are paid to say, isn't it? Well, if he's got nothing to do with it, he needs to give himself up, get down the police station, get himself eliminated from inquiries. But of course, we're waiting for the forensic report as to how this poor girl died. Are there more parts of her somewhere? When they say a partially dismembered body, I think, well, what do they mean by that? So do they mean they started off dismembering her, but maybe only got a little way through it, so a lot of her body is intact and just parts of it are dismembered? Or do they mean not the whole body is there in the trunk? Oh, it's not the trunk, is it? They said it was at the front. Yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to tell you about it because it's a developing story. I think it's an important story. This is a young girl, a 13-year-old girl, and her story needs to be told, you know, because that is what we're saying. That's what I'm here for on this channel. I like to talk about, I don't like to talk about, I mean, it's important to talk about victims like this. People should not be allowed to get away with the things that people do to each other, especially against women and children. But of course, sometimes it's men too that get these terrible things done to them. They should be talked about. Their names should be remembered by people. And there should be a pooling of public outrage over things like this. And for someone like this guy, if he turns out to be in any way responsible, you know, that it needs to be known that he is. And if he's not, it needs to be made publicly known that he's not, so the guy is not being associated with something that he hasn't done. So it's important. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I'm sure I will be back with more news about this story as it develops. If I hear anything, I'll be back. I'm going to go on watching Trumpy Trump. Trump is at Chequers today, isn't he? He's in the UK at Chequers. Of course, it's all happening in the USA it's turning into an authoritarian state. Every day there's something, isn't there? You know, probably this time next year, I won't be able to say Trumpy Trump Trump. Maybe I'll be exempt from this authoritarian state because I'm in Spain. I don't know. As you know, thing is, when you become president of the United States or any public figure, really, and as soon as you share things publicly as well, the thing is, you know, this is what I mean. Like, it's like people share things on social media because they want to say what they want to say. Or, you know, Donald Trump wanted to be president. Oh, but he's got such a thin skin, hasn't he? He doesn't. He can't. You know, he's so full of his own self-importance. You know, they've had to hide him from the public. You know, it's like, well, you want any coverage that you've watched about Trump's visit, there's no people anywhere, no, you know, normal people anywhere. And of course, those first people that they did manage to put those holograms, project the holograms of Epstein and Trump on the castle, which was very clever because nobody can get anywhere near. You know, there's been loads of protests in London. There's 5,000 people turned up for the protest in London. According to Tommy Robinson, it was 10 million. I'm sorry, that's a joke. 5,000 people turned up, the police said, for the anti-Trump protests in London. But Trump won't have seen any of it. You know, other presidents that have come to visit on state visits to the UK, they have seen you know, they've driven through, there's been some interaction with the crowds, and you know, they're not always popular. You know, politicians aren't. You can't be popular with everyone. That is the whole principle of free speech as well, isn't it? To do a quiet, peaceful demonstration. But so what they've done, they've taken him away, and he's like in this. He drove around the garden in the carriage. It's in that great big carriage and all the fanfare and this, that, and the other, just to drive around the garden. It's like some big toddler, just like, oh yeah, take him for a little trip around the garden. And of course, Trumpy, he loves all that, doesn't he? He loves it. But you know, there have been positive things, I think, about him going to the UK, and we're going to talk about those tonight as well. We're going to talk about the outfits. We're going to talk about the banquet, who was there, who wasn't there. I don't believe Randy Andy was there, even though he only lives up the road. That was but Rupert Murdoch was there, which was quite a surprise because Trumpy is currently suing Rupert Murdoch, isn't he, for publishing things about Epstein, and you know, so he's currently being sued for millions, I think. So it's interesting. But did you see that big long table? Is probably Rupert Murdoch right at one end with his wife, you know, put him right at the end, put him as far away from Trumpy as possible. So yeah, so as I say, one thing you can say about Trumpy, it's always interesting when he's around. We're going to talk about that tonight in members, so I hope to see you there, and if not, I'll see you tomorrow. And I'll see you really soon in the next video. As I say, I will be back with any updates on this. God bless this girl. God bless Celeste. I'm just going to put a candle up for her. Just lying there like rubbish in the boot of that car for all that time. At least now, you know, hopefully there'll be some justice for her. I hope her body is all in one piece and she can be laid to rest with dignity, you know, by her family. I hope so. I really hope so. But yeah, fly free, Celeste. I'm sorry this world let you down. See you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Thank you so much. Bye.